Thursday, everyone. Welcome to the Robert Show. I'm super excited for today's show because we have a special guest. It's none other than Thomas Bean, Chief Marketing Officer, DataStax on the Robert Show today. We'll be discussing a lot about what's next in 2023 in the data space, what's the race about, data science and analytics, data science community, DataStax, and obviously a little about Cassandra and much more. So can't wait to learn a lot from Thomas Bean for sure. But if you're joining us, let us know in the chat where you're joining us from. And at the same time, we're doing a very cool giveaway. That is the swag of DataStax. So don't hesitate to type in hashtag DataStax. And this is what you need to just type in the chat. What I'm also quickly doing is seeing if everyone can watch us live very well and all of those things. So it kind of, all right, we can see that everything is working very well. Awesome. So quickly wanted to mention for those who are joining us late, you can type in hashtag DataStax to join in the raffle, and we'll be talking a lot about data science, data analytics, maybe chat GPT, you never know, but many more things that we'll be discussing. So don't hesitate to ask questions to Thomas Bean. And without any further ado, we should bring in our guest here. Hey, Thomas, welcome to the Robert Show.
Hey, Ravid. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here and honored.
Awesome. We are super excited to learn more today about, obviously the data science predictions that you might have, about analytics, about what's next that's coming up for DataStax, and much more, and, how you see the space evolving. But for those who are joining us, I already see a lot of people joining us. There's Sanjeev who's joining from London. Hey, Sanjeev. And folks are already typing in hashtag DataStax. It's
you can get
because we're
swag.
giving away cool swag. Awesome. So thanks for doing that, Thomas. But for our audience to start with, why not go out with your introduction?
Thanks a lot. So I'm Thomas. I coach everything marketing and developer relations at DataStax. Just to introduce the company, our mission is to unlock real-time AI for organizations, all type of organizations, to build best applications at scale that are powered by AI. And we do this with a cloud platform that is a combination of open source technologies like Apache Cassandra, the world's most scalable database, and Apache Pulsar, which is next generation streaming. We are used by customers like Temporal, Priceline, Unifor, Verse, Misho in India as an example, who build their massive experience at scale, serving millions of users. And one thing that is very important for us is that we work very closely and partner with organizations. We consider practitioners, developers, and data engineers and others to really be our users, because they are the ones building these applications. So that's about DataStax. And a bit more about me. I'm French, living in the US now for 10 years. And I had different lives before marketing. I used to be in pre-sales and sales in the integration and analytics domain. So I know a little bit of the technology.
Yeah. No, I think you know a lot more than what we can imagine. So Thomas will be definitely wanting to learn more about, about your experience. And you are obviously coming from an experience where you've also done sales and you've been in this space since years now. And I'm sure you've also seen this space evolving very quickly. And it is ever evolving, right? So that's something obviously we would want to learn about, and that's what I'm super curious about, how you have seen the data science space evolving over years. So if you can tell us more about that.
Yeah, I've been involved in data science for the last 10 years when one of my employers started working in this domain, and actually working then in startups like Druva and DataStax. We obviously not only help, but use it a lot internally. What's been fascinating is the evolution on many dimensions. It really went from a domain that was kind of reserved to a bit of an elite, like people seen as like math specialists, to really become one of the most strategic aspects that organizations need to address. And when I say that it has evolved on all fronts, you look at the types of data sets that have been used. It used to be very analytics driven 10 years ago. Now you have way more operational data sets that are opening to a lot of use cases. There's a lot of real-time data sets now that are becoming actually very interesting. And that's what allowed data science to go from insights, predictions to actually actions. And that's quite exciting. Actually, architectures have evolved a lot. Really, when you look at the leaders, some of the applications we use at scale, like Netflix and Uber, use it really for millions of users. That's been another expansion of the domain. But I think what has driven a lot of the evolution is also democratization of the tools. The fact that it's way more accessible in terms of the languages, in terms of how everybody can build something. And then finally, maybe the most important aspect is how the community has evolved. You are a great example of it, but it's never been easier actually to start in data science and machine learning because you have all of these resources. And I guess that's what also helped it make one of the hottest types of job or types of skills. But now what's very interesting is what are we producing today in terms of and addressing in terms of use cases? Let me take a perspective as a marketer. Most of the technology, and by the way, the dirty secret is that there's a lot of technology actually in marketing. People don't see it. It's not the Mad Men era where we're drinking at 10 and then finding magic pitches, but it's really a lot of data, a lot of technology. And if you look at everything marketing nowadays, data science is coming up everywhere. We have tools that indicate us about the best audience or what to do best for this audience via propensity model. And then you have other tools now that can help us with the content. I'm sure we'll talk at one point about ChatGPT, but this is literally a game changer because you kind of get an excellent copy, an excellent version that has all the right information in no time. So it is a challenge, but at the same time, very exciting. So now we have no excuse to deliver great experiences, but it's a good example how data science is popping up everywhere. We even see actually in our customer base companies that are started entirely on data science. We have a customer, the organization goes by the name of Ziggy.ai, and it's one person who just built a recommendation engine on top of Shopify. One last example I will tell you, which is very exciting to me because I'm a big fan, but I had the opportunity to work with a Formula One team earlier in my career. And this is another area where we don't expect to see a lot of data science, but the cars that you see them driving are actually really digital twins that are making millions of miles before they're even built, thanks to data science. So the simulation for the race strategy. So you can see how really data science is becoming pervasive. And I would actually recommend to the audience to read documents by two Harvard professors, Marco Ianciti and Karim Lakhani, because they have this concept of weak AI, which is AI becoming pervasive in all of the processes, everything we do. And it's something this is the reason why they think the companies that achieve this are going to be having a different operational model and are going to just lead the race. So coming back to the audience and the community, this is the opportunity we all have. We can really kind of define the future. We're on the journey. This is what we do today. I can't wait what we'll see tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I think those are interesting points because it's more on the lines where we've always, obviously heard about having multiple things to get started with, but data science as a space is evolving. But if you kind of pick your niche and you get into it, you can do wonders there. And I'm sure Thomas, you've been seeing that a lot. That also brings me to one interesting question. Obviously you've given us good insights in terms of how it was and how it is right now. But at the same time, what about the future? And we have one question here from YouTube. So I would love to pick this up from Sonia. Where do you see the data science space in the next 2 to 3 years? Interesting.
I will give you the easy answer is going to be everywhere, because we're going to see the continuation of this trend that I was talking about for the last 10 years. What used to be, I don't want to call them experiments, but a specialty is really become pervasive. It's no secret that now in boardrooms, questions to tech or non-tech companies are, what are you doing about AI, and who builds AI? A big part comes from data science. So I do think that the data science space is in the next 2-3 years, it's going to be really, really more applied to the various aspects of the business.
Right.
We have the models, we have more and more data, and now it's really, in IT terms, I would say it's time to go to production, but it's really now really meeting the business. I think the business needs it, and data science is here to help. So it's going to be, and I think data science is going to become specialized probably by domains, in terms of, depending on the data sets and depending on the outcomes, that there will be data science specialization in all parts of the business. You'll have data scientists for marketing, etc. This exists already in many organizations, but big organizations, that's going to become pervasive.
Yeah, I think it's I couldn't agree more. It's massively growing because now in this, where we as a marketer as well, I look at it everywhere, like, and at the same time it's more on the lines where, for to do this polish job, somewhere data science is kind of involved, and that kind of also is very interesting to see how the space has kind of evolved, and everyone's kind of open to obviously not thinking around where, oh, it's rocket science, we can't do it. Now everyone's kind of getting comfortable around it, so it kind of all does make a lot of sense there. I know we have a few questions here coming from our audience, and we can pick it
Ravi,
as we go.
do you mind if I make a last point about where the data
Yeah,
science
sure,
is going? I
please.
think if we flip to the audience, all of you doing data science or considering doing it, the way you're going to be very dangerous, it's a positive term, but dangerous, like on a marketplace, you're going to make an impact, is if you cultivate these dual kind of skills. You're a marketer and a data scientist. That's the kind of person that are going to be sought after big time, and same. So that's why having this dual, I don't want to say culture, but dual skills is going to be a very, very important mix in the future.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, no, 100%. I kind of agree with that. And also, we have one comment here from Sanjeev who's saying availability of the data is not a problem. How do we ensure that the data is fit for the purpose of data science? And how do we ensure, the garbage in and garbage out system, in particular, real time marketing and or personalization, which is definitely, it is important.
I
100%.
love the question. I would actually start by challenging a little bit the assumption availability of the data is not a problem. Yes, everybody has access to data, but the question is, when do you access this data? I think it's really, and especially the person asking the question was talking about real-time marketing. We all know that in marketing, if you don't act in the first seconds, your conversion rate or the ability to contact even the person is very, very low. So how can you make sure that you have the right understanding of the context, the right intelligence, and take the right action? This is where we see a lot of organizations in marketing or not actually being challenged, which is, yes, we have the data. The time to make the data ready for data science, have the features, etc., is long. By then, your customer is long gone, but you can still do a prediction or recommendation, but then you're going to send an email at best the day after. Not the best. So if we compare this to what companies like Starbucks or companies like Netflix, everybody uses Netflix, I assume, is doing, it's very different. They have a way actually to tap into massive amount of data, build that intelligence, train these models, and these models are ready to execute on this real-time data. But what's very interesting is the way they do it is that they don't process the initial data. They use, for data scientists, a lot of this real-time data as is. So they provide data scientists all the historical data as well as the latest, almost as events, what happened in the application. And then the data scientists can then refine the models. They can go back in time, replay, and that makes for models that are more accurate because they get really the whole data. And then the challenge is all about how you make sure that then you can apply this model quickly when you have somebody behind your phone. And I think that's going to be one of the it's not, I don't want to use the future tense. It is one of the biggest problems that organizations are having when it comes to put it into production. So yes, we can capture the data. I think there's work to be done on how we make the data ready for data scientists. How do we empower data scientists to also act? We all know that there are contexts that are evolving very quickly. I guess data scientists would say adversarial context, because the competition is evolving very quickly. Pricing comes to mind. And that's why the ability to have them define, train the model quickly, put them to production, and make sure that you can really operate within the window of opportunity is a big aspect. That's going to be, and we have actually quite a lot of discussion with customers about this. This is why Priceline, as an example, which is a website that everybody knows, this is exactly what they do. They look at not only what you've ordered from them, but your behavior on the site, where you come from. And in the instant, they actually optimize the experience and propose you an offer. But it's because they have a ton of data that they can access very quickly and then take the action. So that's, I think, what is the next challenge and the next path to make this data available for data science and application.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think 100% that those are great points there, Thomas. One quick question before I jump on to a few questions from the audience, and I can see some amazing questions from Kate, Doug, Wallace. I'll definitely be taking those. But one question that I had around is, I quickly want to jump on the topic. I can't, obviously I don't have the patience, but to ask you about, because I've heard so many predictions about 2023. I recently, even like just like in the second week of January itself, I had put a prediction as myself, where I collated all, and then I went through, did some research, and I felt that okay, these were 10 of those predictions which I feel are will be doing very well. Talk about FinOps, data observability, a lot more in that space. But I'm kind of curious to learn more about your predictions. Give me 5 top predictions if you can, that you
Absolutely.
feel in data science will do amazingly well in 2023 and maybe in the coming years.
Absolutely. I agree with your perspective on predictions, by the way. Maybe people are like, that's too much. But the 5 predictions that come from all the discussions we're having with the customers, with community members. The first one is AI is going towards applications. That's been something that has been talked about, and something but it's really application users want it. We can all relate to this, but that's going to have an implication on how data science is done, how ML models are going to be run. We're going to see actually ML leverage some of the application technology to deliver. It could be Kubernetes, etc. What's very interesting as well is that developers want to do AI. We did a survey in the summer of what was of top importance for developers, and they said doing AI, so building applications with AI, doing real time, and remote work option. That was the third. But that's so there's really, I don't want to call it a collision course, but it's really an important aspect. And I think we think there's a new breed of applications that are emerging that are going to be indeed real time, AI driven, globally available, and they will have to be built on cloud native. So there's a intersection there that is happening. The second prediction, we are going to talk way more about scale. We were kind of discussing about it in a previous question, but we all know the examples. I will use Netflix again. I know everybody uses this example, but what's interesting, what is Netflix excellent at these days? They can crank out the best content. They're getting Oscars and such. Where do these come from? It comes from the fact that they have massive amounts of data on which not only they build the best of experience we all love, but also they can actually have this perspective on what people really like. And they have the decisions on what to invest in terms of content is very different. So this is just an example on how data science can help create these virtual cycles where you get data, you please your users, you get more data, you improve your insight, and then you expand like this. And I think scale, which is a challenge operationally, is going to be a real topic. And as a race, I would go back to even the Indian applications that I mentioned, Verse, Mishu. Why are they excellent? Because they have hundreds of millions of users. That's what they're like.
Mm-hmm.
Third prediction, real time is the next step for AI. I'm not forget my vendor hat, but this is really it's expected into the apps. The business the organization see the value. In the same survey, we learned that actually a real time is driving for the data leaders. 40% of them say, yeah, it has a direct impact on my revenue growth, on my customer experience. The one thing that is very interesting, if you look at examples like Uber, Netflix, FedEx, or Priceline, real-time data is excellent for data scientists. It's really one of the best data sets. If you don't aggregate it too much, this is the best data they prefer. Data scientists, they want answers to their questions like immediately, and they want to be able to tap and ask the questions, get an answer, do an hypothesis. And this is why we see a big trend in terms of even this operational real-time data becoming one of the best. And then finally, as I mentioned at the beginning, it's just what makes a difference between an insight and an action. The challenge is to make it happen, as we discussed. The fourth prediction is one of the big topics this year is going to be unit economics. If we want to get the scale, and this is something as data scientists are now getting off of project modes and they're really looking at production, there's going to be a real discussion about how much does it cost to run data science, to run ML. We hear from customers that sometimes they say, hey, you know what, it's too expensive. We just can't run some of these projects. And that's especially in the current context. So that's why unit economics and the search for the best, the most cost-efficient way, and also the easiest way to run operationally is going to be very important. And then finally, the last prediction is we're going to see a lot of focus and increased focus on open source communities. Data science is a team sport, so is open source. Most of the latest revolutions or evolutions in data science came open source. But I think now, where there's a bit of reset in a tech world, open source is going to become more important than ever. And there's a great opportunity today for all the practitioners that in your community to take a look at open source project, learn more, sharpen the skills, and get there. We are at a very interesting point where on one end you have crazy innovation in the open source world, and then because of cloud offerings, you have almost no barrier to starting to build stuff. So that's why, even though there's a crisis, etc., I think we're going to see tremendous innovation at the open source level, but also it's going to have an impact on on businesses. So here are my 5.
No, I think those are pretty amazing. Very well explained, Thomas. I think definitely the audience might agree to that as well. Some of my favorites, obviously, real-time analytics, open source being the game changer always, because it's more like when you kind of work in data science, we've always seen, it's more like a teamwork, because you also want all the data teams to be kind of coordinated with each other, but at the same time, it begins from where you're starting, which could be an open source repository, and then you're kind of also collaborating with a lot of contributors. So that kind of all kind of makes a lot of sense to me. So thanks for that, Thomas. Before we jump on and take a few questions from the audience, it's time for us to reveal the first winner. And what they get is the cool swag that Thomas is wearing. Mine is on the way, so I can't wait. But DataStax came up with this new amazing, the swag box. So we have 20 entries here, and for those who still haven't, entered the raffle, they can actually go and type in #DataStax, and you can enter the raffle. We'll also be announcing another winner towards the end of the show, so stay tuned for that as well. But here we go for the first one. So this is what, Thomas, I was talking about. It automatically picks one winner who is actually typed in #DataStax. Let's see who the first winner is. H. Tammy. Tammy, congratulations. You win one swag by DataStax. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and we'll get it shipped to you. Awesome. So jumping on obviously to our questions here. One interesting question here from Kate. Kate, nice to see you. Hey Thomas, can you talk about the recent acquisition of Cascada and the impact for your customers? Yeah, I did see that news, and can you tell us more about that, Thomas?
Absolutely. So let me give you 2 minutes of context before. I mentioned a few examples: Netflix, Uber, FedEx. I mean, these are organizations we work closely with either via the community or because they are our customers. And what we've noticed is a very specific way they have to do actually machine learning. Instead of having architectures in which they're going to move the data into a specific environment and then process it and do the data engineering and all of this, which is it's part of what becomes very costly, as I mentioned earlier, and it's operationally challenging. They actually bring ML to the data. They are actually having their model tapping into where the data is, and especially this real-time data, which is in Apache Cassandra. Even data scientists love it. They can access to the past, the present, and they can then think more about the future. And there are many advantages. It's simpler, it's more cost effective, it scales. And also it has advantages even in terms of being able to knowing which data was used to train the model and then to take the decision. Even on a regulatory aspect, it's better. So we thought there is this pattern that these giants of AI are using. How could we help our customers who have data in Cassandra or capture data via Apache Pulsar? How can we help bring ML to the data? And this is why we started talking to the Cascada team, which is open. They are a bunch of open source veterans. They have Google background, etc. And we thought that their feature engine was an ideal complement that we can add on top of Cassandra. The data is there already, which is very often the biggest challenge. Where's the data for data science? Is here. And then on top of it, how do you create the features? Back to the question, how do you make the features ready as fast as possible? And Cascada provides a feature engine. It's active, that is event driven. It's going to consume this data and it's going to create features sometimes on the fly. It excels at time series and navigating time, and then it scales to really fuel applications. So now we're going to be able to propose to our customers to really leverage super easily and at a fraction of the cost the workloads that they have, the data that powers their applications. They're going to be able to apply machine learning on it. So this is why we're very, very excited about onboarding Cascada. The team is now on board, and we're working on two things. First, we're going to open source Cascada, because this is what we do. Everything DataStax has done is always made open source. And then we're going to include a service based on Cascada in our cloud offering. But we're super excited, and we call the overall approach unlocking real-time AI, because we're going to make it so much easier and more cost-effective to run at scale by adding these capabilities on top of Cassandra. So it was a bit more than 2 minutes, but here's what we're doing.
No, yeah, no, I think 100% we wanted that background before understanding why, obviously DataStax acquired and how will it help the customers. And good question there, brought a lot of insights. So thanks, Kate. Thanks, Thomas, for that. What I've also done is shared a link with all the folks. They can learn more about Cascada, how they've joined hands with DataStax and how will it help. So you can learn more about real-time AI there. All right. One other quick question here from YouTube. Let's take this one. I kind of find this interesting. Daksh is asking, what's your take on data scientists versus data engineers? Which role is hotter? It's so difficult to even answer this question. I know.
That's a very interesting question, because whatever I answer, I might make half of the audience angry. Look, I think they have to work hand in hand. Each of them have different skills. I think the fact of having one role being harder than the other is not related to the person. is not even related to actually their skills. It's more related to which organization or in which context are you going to work. Are you working in a small startup that has no data baggage and can really build what kind of state of the art? Are you working into or are you working into an environment that's very established, has a lot of data, but probably needs a lot of work on a data engineering side to make this data available? I think both roles are hot. I will go back to my earlier point. I think if you're dangerous in both, you're a very special person. But in reality, the roles have some level of overlap. What needs to unite them though is what's the outcome? Like, how do we build the best? The worst that can happen, and we've seen this in technology for 50 years, is silos. So work together as teams. Work together in a context where you can have your data sets and even your predictions becoming almost internal products. And I think you'll have a very healthy organization. And I would say that, the roles are going to be as important. There's no data science without data. And there's no data engineers if there's no data science. So it's all, we're all in this together, but I would think we need to focus on the application, on the data. And then at one point, initially maybe, data engineering is going to be the biggest problem. And then I wish that everybody gets to the point where it's mostly about data science and data flows. So I think I understand, but you know what? Focus on what you're building, and I'm sure you'll pick up the right skills on the way.
Wow. Thomas, you have the guts to even answer that question. If someone would have asked me that question, I would have been like, I don't know, both are like amazing. And that's it. I wouldn't, but you've explained it so well, where, both are kind of interconnected. And at the same time, it's both have different roles to play, which are important in their own ways. So that kind of makes a lot of sense there. Very interesting question for sure. Also, we spoke about, how the space has evolved. I'm sure also you've explained very well about the top predictions, but, we also know that in this space, companies kind of face a lot of challenges as well. So, what are these challenges that you see companies facing every day? Because you work with so many, obviously, you work with so many enterprise level companies, and I'm sure they might have various types of challenges that they might be facing in their day to day stuff as well. So, can you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, no, it's super interesting because I'm going to pick up. We've addressed some of these aspects. I think the biggest challenge at the moment is that AI and data science and all the various components are perceived as, everybody has big expectations, but it's still not hitting production. Like, it's still not hitting these applications. So I do think there's an architectural challenge, and this is why actually we made this acquisition and we're promoting this architecture. I do think there's an organization. How do we work together? And actually, back to the point about who is hottest, that was exactly the point I was making about, hey, what is the outcome? Can we really manage data and the outcomes of data, which may be the predictions, the insights, so that really ultimately we impact the business services or the applications? And I think there's the architectural aspect, there's the organization. How do we work together? How do we internally have this mindset of a product that we're going to offer, so that developers, as an example, will have an API they can tap into and build great things? Because we also need to get out of this siloed view. One application has its models and such. No, you have data, you have models, and it's going to feed many parts of the business. So it's really rethinking how we organize, how we work together, how we, I'm going to use a big word, but industrialize the approach. And then the last element, I'll go back to the unit economics. We all know there is a race for scale, and we need to make it cost effective. So that's these are the three angles: the technology, the people, and the impact on the business, which needs to be positive. Especially nowadays, the cost of doing things and updating product is extremely important. So these are the three major challenges that we hear from the organizations we talk to.
Yeah, no, I think those are great points. Thanks for that, Thomas. Definitely the challenges that you might be seeing every day, and you kind of going out and solving for those. Another quick question here from someone from in our audience from LinkedIn. I am from pharma, and what about the future of data scientist in pharma? As I want to transition my career into it. Any thoughts there?
I've been fortunate actually in a previous stage of my career to work closely with life sciences, and therefore pharma. I think it is a very exciting domain, and actually COVID and some of the research that led to the vaccines show that aspect. There was a switch several years ago where pharma and life sciences company realized they were sitting on a trove of data, and the
Mm,
evolution of data science made it that, hey, they could look back and say, hey, maybe there are some insights we can get out of it. And this is part of what created this new generation of pharma labs. So there's a very different way. So I would absolutely encourage you to go there. It's a fascinating world where the future is driven, is written, sorry, right now, and is a complete. It's always been a very data driven world, but it was everything was for a purpose of one experiment or one product, and now they unlock the gates by thinking differently. So there is tons, and we'll see a lot of evolution. It's probably less real time, but when you think actually about pharma in terms of the R&D with the production, making the vaccines available, lowering the cost of, there is tremendous value to be created. And I say value not in a sense of, hey, big business, you're going to have a big salary. I mean, we've seen in the last 3 years the impact of pandemics, and we might have more. So I think it's also, there are a few domains where data science is going to have a tremendous impact, because we see the climate change getting worse and all this. That's where data science and the way we consume energy, the way we consider treatments. I mean, very often in Silicon Valley we talk about, oh, I want to make the world a better place. I think there are domains where data scientists have this opportunity, and it is happening now. So yes, you should. It's a domain that's going to evolve quickly, and that's going to have
right,
a great impact.
right. Nice question. Thanks for that answer, Thomas. Okay, my next question to you is about Cassandra, and I know for a fact where the community is doing a lot there. But what can we expect this year, and how fast is it growing?
Oh, great question. It's going to be such a big year for Cassandra. The community is vibrant, and there's lots. We're planning to get together in mid March, and the topics we'll address are really about the momentum, the project itself, the technology, the fact that it's used. It's the database that powers Apple iCloud, that powers
Okay.
Netflix. So we all use Cassandra every day. If you have a PlayStation, you use Cassandra, and I could go on and on and on. But what's interesting is that Cassandra is becoming an even better database for applications. So we're very excited about the support of ACID transactions, which is going to
Hmm.
change the game in terms of how Cassandra can be used in applications. Cassandra is becoming more cloud native. Cassandra has become more open. So lots of evolution on Cassandra. So and these evolutions are about having a broader set of use cases that Cassandra can address, but also making Cassandra much easier to use. Cassandra on Kubernetes, APIs for Cassandra. It's going to be waves of announcements that are going to be quite exciting. And we're working also on the community, making the community as easy to get into as possible. So quite excited about the year. And we see a very interesting trend is we have more and more universities coming and say, hey, we want to put Cassandra in our courses, and we're here to
Wow.
help. So which is great.
Okay, that's amazing. And also, if folks want to learn more about, obviously Cassandra, what's happening at DataStax, where can they do that? Do we have any channel where we are coming up with a lot of resources? I know that DataStax does a lot for the community. So just for the audience out there, where can they learn more about it?
Yeah, just a quick word on. I mean, we think right now is an important moment to work closely with the community. We all read the news. There are changes in many organizations, in almost all of them. So now is the time, I think, to make sure that the community sticks together.
Right.
That we can be there to actually, if people want to upskill, if they want to learn. Maybe they've used Cassandra, maybe they will discover Cassandra, maybe they're intrigued about this overlap of Cassandra and ML. This is why our contribution on DataStax side, beyond contributing to the project, is we have workshops for you, we have trainings for you, we're here to help you in your project. You have a free tier in our cloud product, and we try to build an experience for you which is as easy to go through as possible. So we have a whole team dedicated to it. Aaron, who is just commenting, is part of this team. We think it's the time to actually make this knowledge available, and
Right.
then onboard people, because you know what, this tough phase we're going through is a great moment. There's going to be a lot of activity on open source, so now is the moment to upskill, contribute, and we'll all get out stronger.
Oh, wow.
So
Definitely.
you asked me about where. Go to the website, datastax.com. There's a dev section. You can see all of our trainings and whatnot. You can also go on YouTube. All of our workshops are on YouTube, pretty much inspired by the great work that you're doing, Ravit. So we're stealing a few from how to get to the ET. But also, all of us are on LinkedIn, Twitter, Stack Overflow, Discord, Slack. So we are already probably where all of you are, and we're here to engage.
I think pretty cool. And what I've also done is, I know for a fact where I was looking at a few books, just like a few months back, on the resources channel of DataStax, but I also found out, tons of resources that you can go and check out. So this is here's the link. You can, you guys can actually go and check it out, and everything's for free. So you can always learn and upskill yourself. Before I go on to the last question, Thomas, it's time for us to, uh, go and announce the second winner for today. And just for those who are joining us late, I'll take a minute. You can still type in hashtag DataStax and enter the raffle. Our first winner is Tammy, and she wins a very cool swag from DataStax. So if you want to enter, you can still do it. I see 25 entries already out there. So let's do this. All right. All the best to everyone participating. Let's see who the second winner is. And it is Sashireka. Congratulations. You win amazing swag by one and only team DataStax. So thanks for that, Thomas. But this was, I know we are already on time, way actually over time, but then couldn't, you have amazing insights, Thomas, to be honest. And, we've learned a lot around data prediction, how the space has evolved, how, what's like, we've also seen the verses of data scientist versus data engineers. All of those things were super insightful. We've learned a lot around Cassandra, how open source community is running, how DataStax is, also got into the real time AI, and how you guys are actually helping your customers to get to the next level. So thanks for all of those things. But I'm pretty sure there are more questions that are coming in, and the people would want to, obviously ask more questions to you. So where can they reach out to you, your team, and learn more about data stacks, but not only just that, about data analytics, real-time AI, which is the best place?
Engage with us personally, of course, LinkedIn, Twitter, but also feel free. We have DataStax developers, which is our handle for practitioners who are on YouTube, Twitter, Discord. So feel free to
Nice.
ask questions and ask to any one of us, and we'll find you the right resources and answers, and we're here to help.
Awesome. This was amazing. Thanks a lot, Thomas, again for coming on the Robert Show. I'm sure we'll have more folks from DataStax joining us in discussing more stuff very soon. So looking forward to it, and can't wait to see how DataStax is on the roll in 2023, and also keeping those predictions close to me, and seeing, looking forward to, obviously see how it kind of revolves in 23 and the coming years. Thanks again. Also, thanks to our audience for joining us today and asking
Thank
such
you.
amazing questions. It was such a pleasure to have you, Thomas.
It was my honor and my pleasure. So hope to talk to you soon. Thank you, everybody.